is derived from the 100th verse of Atmopadesha Satakam, 100 verses of self-instruction. So the main mystical composition of Narayana Guru, written originally in Malayalam. All the 100 verses of Atmopadesha Satakam are here in an English translation, each followed by a translation and a meditation. So the poem is a magnificent unfolding of the relationship of man with the cosmos. Nitya makes this subtle experience comprehensible and accessible to the reader. Let's take a look at this book. So there are 100 meditations here as well. So let's hear about this. Neither this nor that, but Om. So 100 meditations. Immortality is becoming fearless. The Absolute is fearless. He who knows it as such certainly becomes the fearless Absolute, as the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says. So it's originally printed, I think, in 1982 by the Vikas Publishing House in UP, Ghaziabad, UP. And we'll be hearing more about this now. So in a foreword, the author says, when it was first suggested that I should write an introduction to this work, I sat at my desk, surrounded by reference books, biographies of Narayana Guru, other commentaries on the verses, and various other relevant scholarly works. I read avidly and made many notes. Then I started to write. What resulted was a scholarly piece which completely lacked conviction and was therefore meaningless. So I am not a scholar, so I decided to leave the introduction to someone better equipped to do it than I. I would like to contribute to it, however, in my own unscholarly way, whatever comes directly from my heart and my experience. So this work consists of 100 verses, and that's written in Malayalam by Narayana Guru with translations and commentaries by Guru Nitya Chaitanya Yati. Its title in Malayalam is Atmopadesha Satakam, which means 100 verses of self-instruction. So this is in fact the title of a most valuable complementary work written by Nataraja Guru, who was Narayana Guru's chief disciple and also propagator of his legacy of wisdom. So Narayana Guru was now a mystic. He was a philosopher, he was a visionary, a scientist, and a poet also, all rolled into one. He is no longer physically alive, but he is very much alive in the dynamism of his vision. So as I am writing, I am facing a large photograph of the Guru. It is a piece of paper. It is a piece of paper that gives away nothing. So I do not know him as a man except through hearsay. I only know him as my essence, the essence that manifested from the dark depths of ignorance and forgetfulness during my long involvement with this work. Thus, I cannot say that I relate to Narayana Guru, the man, but I can say with utmost conviction that I am steeped in the essence that exudes from his life work. It is this essence that I hope will guide my pen in the next few pages. So in the autumn of 1977, I was living in Portland, Oregon, USA, as the author says. Nitya Chaitanya, he says that he was living here, and it was with a small group of people. His main purpose was to find the meaning of life through self-awareness. So we were guided through this journey by Guru Nitya. He was a mirror into which we looked to find ourselves. The mirror he presented to us was unblemished. Not so the reflections, however. So, what we saw in him depended upon our own understanding of reality. So, at times we enjoyed moments of great clarity, but we often surrounded ourselves with fogs that ranged from mild mist to veritable pea supers. So, it was a very intense kind of life situation. And this for him lasted about 1 year. So it was during this period, as he says, he experienced the densest fog imaginable, the darkest night of the soul. I was in the wake of this dismal darkness when Guru Nitya suggested a study of Atmapadesha Satakam. So we all reacted with great enthusiasm, even though the proposal entailed getting up at 5:30 a.m. for 100 consecutive days. At least for me, this enthusiasm had nothing to do with Atmopadesha Satakam, which up to this point was nothing more than a heap of incomprehensible words. Nor was I stimulated by Narayana Guru, who then was merely a stern face in a dusty picture frame. It was Guru Nitya's enthusiasm, his inner joy, that made me agree to such a rigorous regime. So, for 100 days, rain, shine, or snowstorm, I tracked up a steep hill in the pitch darkness of northern winter mornings to participate in Guru Nitya's meditations. So, each morning he dealt with a new verse. So, our discipline consisted of living out the teachings for that day, keeping the verse in mind throughout our daily transactions. And then we met again in the evening, and if inclined to, we discussed our reactions to it, our perceptions, and the way we applied it to commonplace events of our daily existence. So, we started as a small group, but it quickly grew in size till it filled our large common room to capacity. So people came from all parts of Portland, many traveling many miles in all weather conditions. The first meditation was sublime, so I fell into what was a trance like state, and I was not aware of the meaning of the words I was hearing. So words came and went independently of each other. I re emerged from this state with a feeling of weightlessness, though I soon felt intellectually frustrated as I could not recall anything. The entry in my journal that day reads, "A new day, new directions." So Nitya has initiated a new regime, so I feel tearful, though not emotional. I cannot rationalize this feeling. I could say they are tears of gratitude, but that would confine something that feels far greater. So, verse 1 has been in mind all day, and each time I try to apply it consciously to an experience or a thought, I find I have already done so unconsciously, and it feels so right as though I had been born to it. I did not know it then, but I was born to it. So, between frequent lapses, I had unconsciously lived within the framework of Narayana Guru's vision of the Absolute all my life. I am convinced that every human being is born with a legacy of this universal vision. It is our only real inheritance. Few, however, are the people who do not succumb to the veiling of reality which is caused by our emotional and sensory experience of life. So I was one of the many that succumbed. I had reached a point where all my energy was directed at pitting myself against life, and I could no longer conceive life as that greatest of gifts that it is. So for 100 days I was totally steeped in Atmapadesha Satakam. So each verse caused an inner turmoil, and although each turmoil seemed different, I can now see that the pattern was the same throughout. So the day would start blissfully with a feeling of total abandonment, and as I surrendered all my thinking power and I passively absorbed Guru Nitya's words. So this was followed by panic when I came to realize that I had not digested anything intellectually. The pain remained with me until some perception of experience, which I would normally pass off as commonplace, would acquire a new depth of significance. So this brought about a sense of excitement. And then, slowly, as excitement waned, I would start to flash back to thoughts and deeds of my childhood and early youth when I had had similar insights. So, in my childhood, such insights were common, though I was not conscious of any particular value which was attached to them. So it was just my way of perceiving life. And as life unfolds its unpredictable path, it deals many blows, and as we grow older, a feeling of self pity and delusion that each blow produces grows and grows. In self protection, we build armors around ourselves to fend off the next blow. But fate, sneaky fellow that he is, always hits us unexpectedly below the belt. Thus, we strengthen our armors till we forget what it feels like to live free of self defenses and illusions. The memory of freedom scatters into oblivion. I needed the jolt of Atmapadesha Satakam to reawaken those scattered memories and to assemble them into a whole cohesive vision. So the process that I underwent each day became quite torrid at times. I often balked at some of the memories it reawakened because in the course of time I had moved to the opposite pole of the particular value they denoted. And it can be very painful to demolish an edifice so carefully constructed over a long period. The more comfortable and pleasurable this edifice is, the more painful the demolition. Atmapadesha Satakam pushed on, however. There was no time to dwell on phantoms. Each new verse brought about its own set of demolition programs that had to be dealt with. After 3 or 4 weeks of this regime, I became aware that Nitya was writing something in Malayalam. It was a concise rendition of the morning meditations, and I became fascinated with this because I would have dearly loved to read the essential core of all the words that I had not assessed during the morning discourse. So I suggested he should translate it and I should type it. So he firmly refused. I insisted. He refused. I insisted some more. He finally agreed, though reluctantly. So for once, my pig-headedness brought me joy. I am grateful to him beyond words for taking on the extra chore of dictating his translations, because while I worked on them, I was forced to assimilate conceptually what could otherwise have been indolently left to the purely perceptual stage. So, as I became more and more deeply committed, I began to realize that not only were my forgotten memories reawakened, but I also was being presented with what was a vision of cosmology that I had never even vaguely envisioned before. So, not only was I helped in the arduous task of scaling the central stem of the mighty tree of knowledge, but I was also shown even the frailest twig at the tip of every branch and the flimsiest root tendril reaching far underground. So it took 3 years to get the script ready for publication, and during these 3 years I've had the opportunity to revise and actualize every perception I had during the original 100 days and to become aware of the perceptions that I had missed first time around. So, no doubt I will be able to say the same in the years to come. One could say that I have lived each word in this book to the full. They ring in my ears, they tickle my mind, they slide off my tongue, and they fill my heart to capacity. So, this is a sublime vision of Narayana Guru transmitted through the sublime vision of Guru Nitya and rendered in his words. Yet, every word is so Each word is absolutely mine by absorption. So these words have been, are, and always will be the essential core of every moment of my life. So every verse is perfect and complete as a rare pearl. And these perfect pearls linked by the golden thread of pure essence, which is my essence, your essence, our inheritance. So mankind is occasionally graced by the presence in this midst of a rare human being who not only enjoys an unclouded vision of reality but is also the means to transmit it to his fellow man. So he is the eternal beacon in the terrifying darkness of ignorance. Narayana Guru is such a being, and Atmapadesha Satakam is his ever radiating beam. Earlier, I described a photograph of Narayana Guru as a piece of paper that gave away nothing. Unwittingly, I defined a sense it gives away nothing, nor does it take away anything. It is the spinal fluid of our existence. It is also the amniotic fluid in which our existence unfolds. So we at once contain it and are contained by it. So we are it. So neither that nor this nor the meaning of existence am I, but existence, consciousness, joy immortal, thus attaining clarity emboldened, discarding attachment to being and non-being. So one should gently merge in Sat Om, as Eda Walker, the verse 100 says. So Eda Walker has given this forward, and this is what she has to say about it. Next coming up is the author's note for you all, and then what Narayana Guru himself says.